Excellence is not the result of chance, but the outcome of a combination of principles that guide both individuals and organizations toward outstanding performance. It involves maintaining faith without losing objectivity, focusing efforts on what is done best, having the discipline to let go of the irrelevant, cultivating inner motivation, and acting driven by a clear purpose. These pillars intertwine to generate consistency, resilience, and direction. It is not enough to work hard. It is necessary to work with meaning, clarity, and commitment. Thus, excellence becomes a way of living and acting. Let's begin. 1. The good as the obstacle to the extraordinary. Mediocrity is not always recognized as such, because it often disguises itself as comfort. When something works well, it is tempting to stop and enjoy the result, but that pause often becomes permanence. The extraordinary requires discomfort, questioning what has already been done, and aspiring to more, even when it seems enough. Epictetus, a Stoic teacher, taught that true freedom lies in not settling for what seems enough, but in training the mind to desire virtue and growth. He accepted what he could not change, but worked with discipline on what depended on him, avoiding complacency. Those who choose to go further do so not out of empty dissatisfaction, but because they know that constant growth multiplies the value they can offer. Reaching a goal is not an end, but a stage that opens the door to new challenges. The deepest satisfaction does not come from achieving something once, but from continually evolving, adding experiences, learning and improvements. A person or organization that settles for good condemns itself to irrelevance over time. Choosing to be extraordinary means deciding not to settle, building on what has been achieved, and continuing step by step toward a greater and more lasting impact. 2. Truth as the foundation of decisions. Making sound decisions requires a non-negotiable condition, knowing the truth without distortions. However, reality is often hidden out of fear, pride, or convenience. When facts are dressed up, solutions become ineffective, and the course is lost. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and Stoic philosopher, insisted that reason must guide our actions, and the truth, however uncomfortable, is the only solid basis for decision-making. He repeated that deceiving oneself was the worst of evils, as it prevented acting in harmony with nature and justice. Creating an environment where the truth can be spoken without fear is vital for detecting problems and correcting them in time. It is not just about hearing good news, but about accepting uncomfortable data that allows action with clarity. Truth does not weaken, it strengthens, because it shows the exact ground you stand on. Denying it, on the other hand, only delays the inevitable and increases the cost of consequences. A culture that values transparency fosters continuous improvement, as every decision starts from a real diagnosis. Courage is not only in acting, but in wanting to see things as they are, even when it hurts. Those who embrace truth build solid paths and decisions that withstand the passage of time and adverse circumstances. 3. Success as constant evolution. Great achievements are rarely the result of a sudden moment. They are almost always the outcome of a patient and cumulative process. Excellence is born from a sum of small, coherent, and persistent steps, guided by a clear purpose. Seneca affirmed that nothing valuable arises suddenly, and that even nature advances with slow and steady steps. He invited the cultivation of patience and perseverance, reminding us that each day, no matter how small it seems, adds to the final result. For him, daily discipline was the only path to authentic greatness. Each advance strengthens the base upon which the next is built, until, one day, results appear sudden to outside observers. The key is not to seek shortcuts or be carried away by impatience, but to establish solid habits and constant discipline. Sustainable success is not achieved by a stroke of luck, but through the ability to learn, adjust, and move forward again and again. Real transformations require time to settle and consolidate, both in people and organizations. The magic happens when consistency meets continuous improvement, and that sum, day after day, produces a result that not only stands out, but endures beyond the initial circumstances. 4. Leadership that leaves a lasting mark. The most valuable leadership is not measured by the individual's shine, but by the solidity left behind after their departure. Truly effective leaders combine humility and determination. They recognize there is always more to learn, listen attentively, and act firmly when facing challenges. Musonius Rufus, a Stoic teacher, taught that to lead is to serve, and that the true test of leadership is preparing others to thrive without you. He held that personal example, more than orders, was the force that consolidated a group and ensured that its values survived over time. They do not seek the spotlight, but sustainable results, and they work so that the organization prospers even without their presence. Preparing others to continue the path is one of their priorities, avoiding progress that depends on a single person. Their ego is subordinated to a greater goal, building something that lasts and grows. Unlike those who choose weak successors to protect their personal legacy, these leaders build capable and autonomous teams. Their influence does not end with what they achieve during their tenure, but with what they leave ready for the future. Thus, leadership becomes a collective legacy, not an individual monument. 5. First the person, then the plan. In any project, having the right people is more important than defining the strategy immediately. The right talent is not limited to technical skills. It involves character, responsibility, commitment, and an ethic that drives doing things well without the need for constant supervision. Epictetus emphasized that character defines action. He taught that skills can be learned, but integrity and the willingness to act rightly even without oversight are traits cultivated through inner discipline. For him, surrounding oneself with virtuous people ensured sound decisions and lasting results. Those who possess these qualities adapt better to changes, face challenges with initiative, and provide constructive solutions. That is why choosing the right team is an investment that prevents future conflicts and multiplies the chances of success. Incorporating the wrong person can cost time, resources, and reputation, so selection must be rigorous, without being swayed by urgency or appearances. Once the bus is filled with the right people, it is easier to decide where to drive it. The brightest vision is worthless if those who must carry it out do not share the attitude and commitment needed to make it a reality. 6. The paradox of faith and discipline. Those who manage to remain steadfast in the face of adversity share an essential trait. They sustain hope for a better future while confronting reality without sugarcoating it. This is not naive optimism or expecting things to magically resolve themselves, but rather the combination of vision and action. Epictetus, a slave-turned-philosopher, taught that we do not control external events, but we do control our response to them. In adversity, he proposed accepting reality as it is, not with resignation, but by using willpower and deliberate action to steer life toward what is within our power to change. Faith in a favorable outcome gives the strength to endure the present, while discipline enables progress toward that outcome. The key is to neither collapse under pressure nor become paralyzed by passive hope. Facing what happens with objectivity, making tough decisions, and continuing forward even when the road is uncertain is what separates those who overcome challenges from those who remain stuck. Excellence arises from this balance, firmly believing it is possible to move forward while committing to work tirelessly to turn that possibility into tangible reality. 7. Focus on what you do best. In a world full of distractions and passing trends, organizations that achieve excellence do not scatter their attention. Instead of chasing every appealing fad, they focus on what they do exceptionally well and continually refine those capabilities. This approach is no accident. It stems from an honest assessment of true strengths and the discipline to say no to what doesn't fit. Seneca advised that life should be spent cultivating what is essential and not wasted on trivial activities. He believed that scattering oneself across purposeless tasks was a lost opportunity to develop virtue and mastery in what truly matters. His advice: learn it well and always do it well. It may seem repetitive or even dull, but sustainable success is built on a clear, stable foundation, not on impulse. Staying true to core strengths allows for consistent results and market differentiation. Passing on ventures that divert resources is a sign of strategic maturity. No matter how many opportunities appear, if they do not enhance the core of what an organization excels at, they are costly distractions. The key lies in cultivating one's own strengths until they become a standard that is difficult to match. 8. The power of letting go. Time and energy are limited, so dedicating them to activities that bring no real value is a luxury no organization can afford. Excellence demands not only deciding what to do, but equally what to stop doing. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, reminded in his meditations that life is short and should not be wasted on what does not contribute to the common good. He urged letting go of the trivial to focus on actions that strengthen character and serve a true purpose. This means eliminating projects, tasks, or initiatives that are not aligned with the central mission or that do not directly contribute to strategic goals. The discipline to say no, even to attractive opportunities, is a sign of vision and strength. It's not about doing it all, but about concentrating efforts where a significant difference can be made. When resources are focused on the core value, results improve and impact grows. This approach not only optimizes performance but also frees space for innovation and continuous improvement. Excellence does not come from doing more, but from doing the right things and letting go of the irrelevant. 9. Motivation that cannot be bought. True motivation does not depend on inspiring speeches or temporary incentive systems. It comes from having the right people, those who act with commitment and excellence out of personal conviction. In this context, the role of leadership is less about motivating and more about creating an environment that does not demotivate. Musonius Rufus, Epictetus's teacher, believed that virtue should be practiced out of conviction, not for external rewards. He taught that real commitment comes from the desire to live in accordance with reason and justice, not from the expectation of prizes or punishments. Thus, the right action is its own reward. This means removing unnecessary obstacles, offering clarity in goals, and trusting in the team's autonomy. People with the right attitude do not need constant pushing. they find drive in the satisfaction of a job well done. Fair compensation is important for attracting and retaining talent, but it is not the main engine of long-term performance. A team aligned with the organization's purpose and equipped with the necessary skills self-motivates, works with energy, and produces outstanding results. The challenge is not to ignite an external spark, but to protect the inner flame each person already carries. 10th, purpose as the engine of excellence. When work is aligned with a deep and meaningful purpose, the pursuit of excellence becomes natural. It doesn't need to be forced. Genuine commitment drives attention to detail, overcoming obstacles, and continuous improvement. Zeno of Citium, founder of Stoicism, believed that living in accordance with nature meant acting with virtue and with a purpose aligned to the rational order of the world. For him, understanding one's place and mission in life provided an inexhaustible source of motivation and excellence. Motivation does not come from outside, but from the personal meaning found in the task. A clear purpose acts as a compass, guiding decisions and priorities, and creating coherence between what is done and what one wants to achieve. This connection attracts talent, fosters collaboration, and sustains energy even in difficult times. Moreover, working with an inspiring why turns quality from an abstract goal into an inevitable outcome. Excellence, understood this way, is not a destination, but a way of living and acting that transforms both results and the experience of those involved in the project.